Hey guys, today I am going to be doing a book review, but first let me just apologize if I look kind of awful. It's just really cold here and the hat helps a lot in keeping me warm, so I apologize. But the book review is on the Eyre by Jasper Fforde, which is the first book in the series of the Thursday Nights series. And in this book, we begin with Thursday Nights, who is a detective, she works as a literateich. You know, they get people who are stealing the books and stuff like that, but she gets transferred temporarily into the SO5, where they want her help in finding Edgar Hades, who used to be her professor after he has stolen the original manuscript of Martin Chuzzlewit. And that is pretty much where this story takes off. I am just going to tell you that I had a lot of issues with this book. The first one being that the title says it's the Eyre Affair. You're expecting that the book is going to be about her protecting Jane Eyre and keeping her away from Hades, or at least trying to get her from him, or whatever. That was going to be the majority of the book, but instead you don't get her until the last 5 chapters into the book. So I just kind of had major issues with that, because the title is very misleading, the synopsis is pretty much misleading. I just feel like there should have been more generalization with the title. If it was about the Jane Eyre, I think the book should have been more about it. I know that there was breadcrumbs being left to you throughout the whole book, but I just felt like the title was misleading, because the whole book is not about Jane Eyre. It's just about her trying to get Hades, who is stealing characters from books. So that's pretty much all it was. You know, yeah, Jane Eyre was the big kahuna and kind of a thing, where everything kind of had that showdown scene. So I get that, but no, you know, still it's kind of off. So I had an issue with the whole title and misleading that it gave me. I had expectations, and those expectations were totally failed. The other issue I had was the other issue I had with this book was how obvious everything was. Like, everybody was so obviously either good or bad. And then there was one part. And then the other obvious thing was the whole, this guy, you know, so, you know, you think that he's supposedly the good guy, but then he suddenly turns into a bad guy. But it's so obvious from the very beginning that he's not. Like, it's just so obvious. He just shoves it in your face that he's not really a good guy, but he's acting the good guy, you know, kind of thing. It's just, he wasn't really nice. He wasn't that great. You kind of wondered where he was, you know, in all this. And so I kind of figured, you know, I kind of did. So it wasn't all that surprising when suddenly you see that he isn't the good guy, and you're just like, huh, whatever, you know. And I feel like he was trying to shock you, but it wasn't really that shocking. So those are the major issues, everything being obvious and the misleading of the title. I do feel like the writing itself, although I like beautiful writing. Like, I like when they describe things in detail and just get into that beautiful writing that just hits me, you know. But this really was very straightforward, just tell you as it was, no very beautiful descriptives, no, nothing like that, just very straightforward. I understood why, so that really doesn't take a star off for me, because this is about a detective. The detective is narrating the story. I get it completely. So that wasn't the major issue, and I think, like, I understand it. I don't know, I miss the beautifulness. It is very different. This whole story is very different because you have time traveling, you have the vampires, you have the ability to stop time, you have shapeshifters, you have the ability to go into books and take characters out of books and things like that, and it's just crazy. There's a lot of genres in this book. Like, he's just stuffing a lot of things in there, and I think that people could get overwhelmed with that bit because there is a lot of things. There's not just one thing throughout. You're seeing a lot of things come in play, but for me, it wasn't really that big of a deal. Like, I was able to understand what was going on. It didn't feel too much going on at once, you know. I did feel that although this was a fast-paced book and it was exciting and all that stuff, and I loved that part of it, that it kept me going, I did have myself wondering, is this really interesting? Like, do I really like it? Because I couldn't really wrap my mind around it because of the different genres, because of the way it was written, because of the characters. I don't know. But that goes into the characters. I do like the characters. They were really pretty well developed. It's hard for me to say I liked them because I didn't really know them. Like, I know Thursday nights, but then you had Landon, the love interest, and you didn't really get to know him like you would expect. And I did appreciate the author putting the romance as the back burner and this whole the main story about her going after Hades as the main story, because that's what it should be. And I really appreciated that, but all of a sudden at the end something happens and you're just like, what? You know, they've been separated for 10 years. You're just gonna do it? Seriously? I don't know. So I was kind of iffy on that whole ending there. The story though itself, the whole going after Hades and that drama and the suspense of what was going to happen with that was fantastically well done. If this book was mainly just about her trying to rescue these books and the book's characters and trying to rescue her aunt and uncle, that would have been perfect. I felt like really there shouldn't have been any kind of romance, just because I felt like that was kind of confusing to me, because like I didn't understand why he would introduce it, then the whole majority of the book is something else, and then at the end, you know, you only see Landon once or twice, maybe 3 times at the beginning of the book, and then, like I said, the rest is about what's going on, and then at the end it's just like, okay, okay. So I do like it. I like the story. It was exciting. It kept you going. I was on the edge of my seat wondering how she was going to get Hades. And I will read the second book to see what happens, and cross my fingers that hopefully we will get to know Landon more and see the relationship a little bit more, but also that the story that the second book has in there will actually be better written, better developed, just a lot more clarity with the title. No misleading, please, because I just felt like I was misled throughout this book about the whole Eyre, Jane Eyre thing. So yeah, I gave this 3 stars. Before I went to end, I wanted to actually mention one thing more about the writing, because this was actually what saved me from not liking the writing completely, or just not really caring for it, because although this book was supposed to be funny, I didn't really find it all that funny. I did find it amusing, but it wasn't really all that funny to me. Is that the writing reflected the story. So if you have read this book, you understand what I'm talking about, but if you don't, let me explain. In order for Hades to get into the books, he kidnapped Mycroft, her Thursday's uncle, who has the ability to create a portal to get into it. And he has to use bookworms. And these bookworms, they kind of eat the words and then they spew out a apostrophes, commas, you know, all those and marks and stuff. And there was this one time when they were getting really agitated because of what's going on and because they weren't getting fed, and they were just spewing out all sorts of stuff, and you could see it in the writing. And I thought, oh my gosh, that's fantastic. Like, I was chuckling, I was happy, I was just like, oh yay, something that's completely, you know, unique to this book. Okay, yeah, it's unique that he's throwing a lot of genres in there, but we see these genres a lot. So I'm just saying, you could throw a lot of genres together, but most people are probably not going to really like that. It might be overwhelmed with it. I wasn't, but a lot of people will be. But the fact that he was willing, that he actually reflected what was going on into his writing in that way was completely different, because I'd never seen an author do that before. So that was really cool, and that cut it from a 2-star. I did enjoy the story. I must say I did enjoy it, and I will read this again when, like I said, I will. So again, 3 stars. Sometimes I forget what I'm going to be trying to say, but yeah, 3 stars. I really did like it, and tell me what you thought of this book, if you've read it, or if you've read any more than this one, because I would like to know. And thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you in the next one. Bye!